Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pacers Daily. I am your host, Hery Acosta. Pacers preseason has officially kicked off yesterday with a big win, 135 to 134 in overtime against the Timberwolves. Let's get into it and talk about some of the better games that we have played, some of the stars of last night's show. Start with Siakam. Played 14 minutes, still ended up with 14, 3, 3, and 2. Now Siakam looks a lot more comfortable behind the three-point line than he's done in previous years. He was shooting just walk-up threes. No, not really worrying too much about catch and shoots. He did make a few catch and shoots, but there were some where he just walked up, shot it in. Now we know that's in his bag. We know he's capable of doing that, but that's not something he was ever really consistent with. He doesn't just make his own. He doesn't just create his own three. He always creates his own mid-range shots. But now that that's in his arsenal fully, that's something the Pacers fans were gonna expect from him to see more in those games. And there's another player that I'm talking about today that was also creating his own threes like it was nothing, but we've seen it more out of him because that's one of the big parts of his game. But with Siakam, I expected this. We knew that the starters weren't going to play a lot. We know they're just there to kind of just, you know, build the lead a little bit and then let the other players play a lot more. But, great start by Siakam. I mean, 14 points in 14 minutes. Very good. Didn't really need to prove anything. We already know he's the star of this team. Everyone in the starting lineup did their thing. Isaiah Jackson didn't really play much, but he was also in foul trouble pretty early. There were a lot of fouls in that game, by the way. I don't know if anyone watched it, but there was a lot of fouls, at least in the first 6 minutes of that game. Each team had 4 to 5 fouls already, which I thought was pretty funny how the refs were just going crazy in a preseason game. Now, one of the stars of yet last night's show was Ray J. Dennis. Now, we know Ray J. Dennis is one of our two-way players, and he's got a roster spot. He's going to keep that two-way spot. But 16 points, 5 assists on 4 of 11 shooting. Not the most efficient game, but still, his confidence is up. 16 points, great passing, 5 assists. So there's really nothing that I'm going to drag about his game. Now, the Pacers did have a decent amount of turnovers, but, it's the preseason. It's going to happen. Just clean those up a little bit, and the regular season's going to be fun. I genuinely saw a really good team last night. Now, the defense needs to kind of step it up a little bit, but obviously, Neesmith and Nembhard didn't play too much. Shepherd wasn't playing at all, but just need a few other players to kind of just step up into those roles whenever those players are off the court. So just, load that up a little bit, improve a little bit on the defense. That's really all we need. We were up by 20 at one point, and we only ended up winning by 1 in overtime. So that's just stuff that we really got to work on. But it's a preseason. We got time to develop. We don't play an actual regular season game for another 15 days. So just use these next 3 preseason games to just, get better at the stuff you need to do. We're going to play the Thunder next. So that's going to be our first team that we play in the regular season too. So definitely try to beat the brakes off of them and just, play your best game. But Ray J, player of the game for the Pacers, great game. Expect to see more out of that in this preseason so you can show that you belong on this roster. So do that. Now next is a player that impressed me a lot in the minutes that obviously Neesmith has been impressing everybody. 12 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 of 4 3-point shooting, 4 for 4 for free throws. Not only is he driving into the paint a lot more than he used to, he is now creating his own shot behind the three-point line. We saw it against New York. We saw it in his barrage where he had 20 points in the fourth quarter, where it was the same play that he hit on Josh Hart, except he went a different way, where he pump faked a 3, stepped over, and hit another 3, and Hart kind of fell, but this time I think he did it on Naz Reid, where he pump faked, stepped to the side, and shot. It was Naz Reid because Naz Reid was listed as small forward, I remember now. But, a guy that's creating his own threes, that's kind of stuff that we need on the Pacers, especially when we're playing with Isaiah Jackson more in the as a center who he's going to be more in the paint and just kind of playing the pick and roll game with Nemhard and maybe Matherin. So just having players like Siakam and Neesmith be able to create those shots is going to help us a lot. I genuinely saw last night. I saw a team that's not worried about critics. That's not worried about rankings. The only thing they're worried about is building upon what we did last season, building upon a team that was one win away from an NBA championship. A bunch of players would have gotten their first ring. Siakam would have gotten his second. Bryant would have gotten his second. But now it's a new season. The past is the past. Now we're just going to build on what we got now. And last but not least, I got a doubleheader. Two players that I've been wanting to really see step up. Obviously, Furphy was just a rookie and a second-round rookie at that, so he wasn't really getting too many minutes. But because of what I saw in the summer league and just what I've seen at training camp, yeah, I want Furphy on the court. That kid has skills. That kid has talent. And Jarris Walker, besides some of the weird turnovers that Jarris Walker commits, he's a great player. 13 points, 5 rebounds. A little more consistent from the three. Furphy, on the other hand, was just out there doing his thing. He's a kid that I could see averaging 10 points a game if given, the minutes. I don't know if he's really going to get those minutes. Walker should be stepping into more minutes, though. But Furphy is definitely a player that I want to see play more. I think he's got talent. I think he's NBA ready. I know he's a lot younger. I know he's only 20 years old, but he has got skill. He has got potential. He's not afraid. He will go up for a dunk against whoever. Now I'm just hoping he goes up for a dunk against an NBA star and everyone just goes crazy. That's all I'm hoping for, just once this season. Last year he had that ferocious dunk against Anthony Black. This year he had it against the Bulls in the Summer League. Who's he going to posterize this year? We'll see. But with Jarris Walker, I genuinely was impressed with his game. Now, not the most efficient game either, but, his confidence. That's what we need from Ray J, from Walker, from all the young guys that don't really get too many minutes. Build that confidence and just show that you belong on the court. And Jarris Walker last night showed that he belonged on the court. Now, the only problem is, can he continue to do that every game? Can he consistently play at that level every game? Because he hasn't shown that he can. But he just turned 22. He was a lottery pick in 2023. And he's already been on 2 Eastern Conference championship teams. So this is a kid who's already had his success in the playoffs and now just needs to really show that he belongs in that lineup. But as always, I'm your host, Hery Acosta. This is Pacers Daily. Boom, baby, and go, Sirs.